The concept that helped me maneuver through disagreements with my wife that led us to a life of amazing communication, amazing intimacy, and how helping you understand this difference can help you through your next disagreement that you may have with your partner. Hey, I'm Steve from Dr. Brom's Life Coaching, and this concept right here took me years to learn. And a lot of the work that I do with guys is communication. I would say about 90% of the issues that guys have that where their wives want to leave, they don't want to work on the relationship anymore, is because they're not feeling heard anymore and they're just cutting ties. And unfortunately for men, you're behind the eight ball on this one. And I wish like this concept, more men understood because it would help them have more productive conversations with their wives and really give their wives that connection that they're searching for. This concept is how we think. You see, men are logical thinking. We think things in linear patterns. So whenever there's a problem, like there's a perceived disagreement that we have with our loved one, we're automatically thinking of the solution. And we're thinking of the problem, what's the solution, and how can we guide this conversation to prove the point that we're trying to show or to paint the picture of the solution. Whereas for our wives, it's differently. For our wives, they see things in an emotional state. And the way I'll express it is that they see things in colors. So where women will start off if in a disagreement is on the feeling that they're feeling. And now this part right here is going to blow your mind. Have you ever had a memory or you went to an event and you shared it with a friend and just the words did not do enough, didn't give it justice of exactly what you're feeling? Like you had to be there to really experience what you're feeling. Well, the reason for this is that the part of your brain that processes emotions and feelings are located in a totally separate part of the brain where we formulate words and we articulate. So this is why it's really hard to articulate exactly that feeling that you're feeling, that you have to actually experience it to be able to really kind of grasp what that person had felt at that moment. Well, that's for women when they are having a discussion with their loved ones, it requires them to pull information from all different places. And it requires, they'll be looking at memories. They might even bring up disagreements that you might have had in the past. And if this happens, it's because you never really fully closed it, completed it, even though you thought the solution was the argument might have been resolved. Well, it's not resolved if it keeps on coming up. But it takes time for women to really process this information, and this is where we screw up as men because we're automatically wanting to jump into the argument and not allowing our wives to really think it through and talk it out. And that process right there, speaking it out, is what helps our wives really fully understand how to put it into words what they're trying to express. And this is where the disagreements occur. And what happens is guys would just get frustrated because they're just like, man, there's just so many words that are being used and it's just overwhelming us and we just can't take it. And we may end up shutting down. And this other concept right here is really important to understand too, how men and women use silence. If your wife shuts down and stops talking, that's not a good thing because what's happening is that there's disconnection. There's not emotional connection, no emotional intimacy. There's disconnection. They're not feeling heard. So if you feel like your wife stops complaining about something, that's not a good thing at all. You really want to, have conversations and ask questions to have an understanding of this. But this is important for women to understand for men. You see, men's silence is different. For men, we use silence typically for three things. The first thing is that we either feel overwhelmed and we're just shutting down to kind of preserve our brain, to preserve our thoughts, to kind of think things through. The second reason is that to sometimes try to figure out more about ourselves, in this situation, kind of process how this situation occurred and kind of try to learn more about ourselves. And a lot of times it's to allow us to give us time and space to kind of allow our frustration, our anger to decrease, to be able to come up with the words that we want to use. And for men, when we get frustrated and we shut down and we walk away, that just totally it's not a good thing for your wife. And the best thing for you to do is to tell her, look, I need some time to process. I'll get back to you. We'll talk things through. And that's all she would need. But this concept, like understanding that the way our brains are different. So what's happening now, every time my wife and I have a discussion, a lot of times I feel like I want to jump in, but I've learned to just shut up. And what I'm finding is a lot of times just that act, my wife will be able to come up with the solution that she was searching for, or it'll give me more information to understand a little bit more where she's coming from. That's another thing. When women ask questions, they need more information. Whereas men, we don't need that much information. So a lot of times we'll keep our words very short and simple, and that can be very frustrating for our wives because they want that in-depth conversation. They want to have more information. And if you're a man of little words, what's happening is you're not giving her the information that she's searching for, and it will cause her to ask even more questions, which causes you to get even more frustrated. So the purpose of this video is just that I hope that this little bit of understanding of how our brains are different can help you the next time you get into a discussion with your wife to be able to be more empathetic, to listen, and to allow her to speak, to allow her to process the information that she's trying to give. And you'll be amazed on what that'll do with your relationship. So I hope this video adds value. Love you guys. Bye.